ATM machine. Mm-hmm. I find that link and nothing comes up.
No, you don't connect from the link. You connect directly from your machine. And like you go from the remote. I just put the link on there to like give you a work walkthrough, but let me share.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure it out. I even trying. I where did the dog video go now?
No, you just go from this.
Hold on, I'm trying to find. I just bought a new laptop last night, and I just like cracked it open maybe a week ago.
Oh, you got an Apple?
No.
Okay. No. I know I don't like them either. Go right from right here to your remote desktop connection. Click on it, and then it'll open up just like this. And your IP is your computer name. Make sure your username is the username that I provided, and then click connect.
All right. Go back again. I'm sorry because I was trying to come back to.
It's still on here. Just go from your machine to remote. Type in RE to your remote desktop connection.
Oh, okay.
And then this will pop up. This is your IP address, and this is your username, and then connect, and then your password.
Oh, okay. All right, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me pull this back over here. Any other questions, y'all? Okay.
Lorita,
so
when I tried to connect to it, it didn't even allow me to put the username that you gave. It just went, once I put the IP in, it just went straight to password.
You gotta edit it. Typically, sometimes if you already used it for like something else, it'll automatically populate that username to like whatever your computer name is. So sometimes you have to edit it to change the username to match the one for you. Yep. Any other questions? Okay. So the way I like to run the sessions, I like for them to be super collaborative, everybody kind of engaged, because to me it helps me identify like if you're grasping some concepts, if you're grasping the concepts, if you have any questions. I like to kind of run them as more or less like conversational as opposed to lecturing, because to me they help support you within your technical sessions, within like navigating the space. It helps support you to ensure that like you fully understand what we're doing, as opposed to like watching me do it and then you just copying what I'm not recording them. Let me record. Okay. So yeah, so I was saying that's how I typically like to run them, because it helps me gauge if you're fully grasping the conversation or fully grasping the concept, and it helps us to ensure that you're able to adequately like apply the concept. So we are not going to focus on memorization. We're not going to focus on how my code looks, how your code looks. And of course, I do teach you best practices, writing your code and things like that. But the vibe of the sessions are, I like for them to be collaborative. I like for you to engage. I like for everyone to like, if your code doesn't work, share your screen. You have questions, actively ask them as we go through our technical sessions, so that we can all work through them together, because your questions might actually help someone else. And we just able to just lean in on learning collaboratively together. I don't like to lecture. I just like for us to just kind of learn together, ask questions. This don't work. Why does this not work? Let's talk about it. Walk me through what your code doing. Oh, okay. This is what it's doing. This is what it's not doing. That type of vibe, because it helps you grasp it for real. So, with that being said, any questions? Because we about to hop in. Okay. So this is our introduction session tonight. This is the baseline. Think about it like when you are building a house or you're building something, everything that you build goes on that foundation. So it's very important that we get a full understanding. We're able to grasp like this foundational knowledge, because this is the base, this is the floor. Everything we'll be doing from here on out is essentially building upon this. I ain't just gonna throw you out there. You know, somebody swimming, they just throw them out there. They'll figure it out. I ain't gonna do that. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna teach. We're gonna start from the floor. Um, you get these recordings. When this session over, you're gonna get the recording and a pop in your dashboard. Go back and revisit it. In between our sessions, you will. I don't know. Nope, y'all haven't got them yet. Every Sunday, you're gonna get your weekly challenges. Please do your challenges. Please be watching something in between our sessions, practicing your code, doing those things in between our sessions, because if you're only writing SQL during our sessions, you're going to be frustrated. I'm going to tell you that right now. So in between our sessions, practice, look at some stuff, write your code, use your weekly challenges. Put some time on my calendar if you feel like that there's something that we talked about that you just need a little bit more reinforcement on. Put some time on my calendar. We'll talk through it. I want to make sure that you know this for real. And I want to make sure that you feel empowered to like fully navigate this space. And the only way we can do that is like you being able to understand it. So with that being said, this is our introduction to SQL course. This is the first one. And the objectives for tonight are introduction to databases, introduction to SQL. We do our DML languages, which is essentially called data manipulation languages that select, insert, update, delete. We do those. You will be writing code tonight in your system. This session, I'm gonna like guide you, coach you. We're gonna talk through it. I'm gonna introduce you to the database. We're gonna do all of it tonight. You'll also, like I said, be actually writing code to apply some of the things, not some of them, because you're gonna do everything. The things that I'm teaching you tonight, so you have a good, hey Tina, so you have a good understanding. I see your pen right there. So you have a good understanding of what we have going on. All right. So the first one, introduction to databases. So I literally start with what is a database? A database is anything that someone or something or an organization typically uses to store data. When people think of data, you oftentimes think of like numbers, text, numbers and text. However, data can literally be pictures, sounds, any of those things. A database is anything that electronically stores a systemic collection of data. Is this data organized? Is it stored? Can somebody come and retrieve this data? That is a database all day long. That is why, as you navigate this space, you'll even see some organizations refer to Excel as a database, because technically it is. So why are databases important? So databases allow for us to be able to keep our data organized, structured, clean. Well, it's not clean. It's never hardly clean, but consistent. And it allows for everyone to be able to access and manipulate that data. Like, for example, tonight, everyone has access to their own databases. Y'all are not here. I am not there. I didn't email you anything. I didn't send you anything. You literally are connecting to your own database. So databases allow for us to do our data sharing and our collaboration. You connect to your system, you have the same data I do, and we're able to collaborate using those data sets. Data organization and management. This is when you get into things like data governance. A big part of organizations are super responsible for data. They're super responsible for protecting their data, making sure that data is nobody else has access to it, making sure that it's organized, making sure that it's easily managed for the consumption of whoever needs it, whether it's a stakeholder in HR or somebody that is a scientist and does a data analysis of the work, or somebody that's in customer service and uses that data to like make decisions on marketing or whatever their case is. Databases help make that a thing. They're also big for data analysis and reporting. This is where you get into those dashboards and stuff. A lot of times when we think of a dashboard, by the time it gets to the dashboard, it's clean, it's pretty, it's digestible for your stakeholders to consume. However, the back end of those dashboards is literally not, it's a database. It's connected to a database. One of my students, actually from October, he actually got a data analyst role. He didn't, but he did now. But he's been doing dashboards for years. And he didn't realize that the back end to those dashboards was actually SQL. So he's been building the dashboards and like doing the splicers and the filters and all that on the front end. But he decided to take the course to expand his knowledge to be able to write the code for the back end, which is it's a solid game plan because it makes sense. It's all connected in some kind of way, shape, or form. So that database allows for you to do that data analysis and that reporting. That's where those, like I said, those dashboards, the Tableau, the Power BI, all this stuff comes into play. It's just connected to a database somewhere. Any questions so far? Okay. The types of databases. So there are multiple types of databases. There are also multiple dialects of databases. What does that mean? When y'all are going through LinkedIn and you see job descriptions, and they might have like T-SQL, PL-SQL, different dialects, like these different little acronyms in front of SQL. Those are essentially dialects of SQL. Do not get it twisted. SQL is SQL though. The way that I liken it is just like you have two people like I'm clearly Southern. I sound like I'm a Southerner. If I have a conversation with someone that is from California, from New York, from any of these other places, we know what we're talking about. We sound different. That's literally a dialect. It's the same language, but there might be just a little flavor to it. Another way to describe it is how, you know how like Excel has, Microsoft has Excel, Google has Google Sheets. If you can navigate Excel, you can navigate Google Sheets. They're one and the same. SQL has the same thing, regardless of a different client might produce their SQL relational database, but there's a little flavor different. You might have to put a semicolon at the end of your code, or something might have to be case sensitive, or any of those other things. However, SQL is SQL all day long. So, and another huge component or difference between the different databases is essentially how they process the data. That's what makes databases different. So the one that we typically use is in our course is the relational database. The features of the relational database is relational databases literally store the data in tables. The data is physically there. It's there. It's just like this water bottle. I got my water bottle. My water is in my bottle. Physical all day long. My data is stored in tables and it is structured by those tables. That is a relational database all day long. When you lean into the cloud databases, that data is that data is not stored at all on-prem, which is in tables or on the premises. It's not stored on premises. It's stored in the cloud. So it's going to be processed and everything from the cloud. NewSQL databases, essentially like the high transactional, the applications, distributed systems, that's how that data is stored. Now, this is the kicker. So when you're learning SQL, you're able to apply SQL to any of those environments. We're learning SQL. However, the language that we're learning can be applied to GCP, which is Google Cloud, Amazon AWS, Amazon Redshift, which is Amazon's cloud service. It can still, the foundational language is still applied to cloud and other systems. The way that the data is processed has absolutely nothing to do with what you're learning. I've been writing code in SQL for 12 years. So about 80% of my career, I actually use, even day-to-day now, I use it every day now. What I teach y'all on, which is why I opted to use it like that, because it's a Microsoft tool. However, I've also written code in Oracle. I've written code in Amazon Redshift, which is Amazon Cloud. I've done work in GCP, which is Google. I've done cloud work and on-prem work. The syntax is a syntax. Syntax, I'm sorry, is a block of code. But your code is your code all day long. Any questions?
Question, just curious.
Mm-hmm.
So is this the same, would be the same for the other programs? Like I tend to see Python and another program called R. Are those something similar to SQL?
They're not similar, but they are different programming languages. Now,
Okay.
What I would tell you in the same way as what I tell everybody else, and even myself, when people like us, okay, so all of us here, I don't think, neither one of us here have like computer science. Neither one of us here are like traditionally taught how to apply these concepts. So we're learning like this. When your brain starts to process things differently, which is the goal is your brain needs to process stuff differently starting now. When your brain starts to process stuff differently, when you're able to look at code, when you're able to ask yourself certain questions, when you're able to debug, when you're able to create different relationships, other things become clear. What do I mean by that? I got a request probably about 6 months ago to create an automated job in PowerShell, which is like another language. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I never said I knew how to do that. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. Like, I told him I don't know how to do that. And my manager was like, girl, if you can write code in SQL, you can figure it out. So he wasn't lying. Now, there was a learning curve, but the way that my brain automatically works is, okay, I'm pulling something. What am I pulling? How do I do this? How do I do that? Like, your brain is going to automatically work like that. And another thing, what I've also seen, just a little tidbit of advice, is that actually two things. First thing, do not feel the pressure to try to learn everything. It's impossible. It's impossible. I've used SQL. SQL has been my bread and butter. Every once in a while, it's like 2 years ago was the first time I actually had to build a dashboard. And that's because like something broke and I had to like redo it. So don't put it on yourself to like, I gotta know. I ain't never used R. I have used Python a little bit and I still do Python day to day. Even with my company, I use Python to like create y'all data sets and stuff. But do not feel like I gotta know this, I gotta know that, I gotta know. Don't do that. You're gonna be crazy. But did they answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. So that's the type of database. What you're learning is a valuable tool. When you look at the data, everything I do is data. And everything y'all need to do going forward is data. When you go to work tomorrow, when you turn on your TV, when you turn on anything, start quantifying stuff. Start looking at stuff we don't do qualitative analysis anymore. We're quantifying things. We're analytical. So start thinking of data. When you look at the data of what are the top rated skills within analysis, SQL is a non-negotiable. However, when you look at all across the board, SQL is not only used in analytics, it's in software engineering, software development, like all of them use SQL. Everybody does. So just focus on one, hone in on it, and practice and get comfortable in it. And then as you go, of course, like you're always learning, exposed to other stuff, go from there, and just don't feel the pressure like I gotta know all this. Don't do that. It's not realistic. I don't know why it's even like framed like that. I can't click on that. But yeah. But the language you can apply it anywhere. So this one is essentially introduction to SQL. Like this is SQL. What is SQL? Some people say SQL. Some people say SQL. It's okay. You're gonna see it interchangeably in conversations. When you start interviewing, you're gonna have tech recruiters because a lot of times we actually talk about that on our career coaching session. Tech recruiters most of the time do not understand these tools, so they take a list from what the hiring managers say and they regurgitate it right back. So sometimes people say SQL, SQL, it is okay. But what it is the programming language for relational databases. Anything dealing with data, you're going to use SQL. And some features of SQL is like the querying. Actually, tonight, this is what we're going to do. Select, insert, update, delete. These are like querying demands, data manipulation, data definition. Those are some of the foundations of SQL. They allow for you to retrieve your data, manipulate your data, analyze your data, just do all things data. So this is data types. Data types, when you get within your database, I'm going to coach you every single time you open up your database. Data investigation and data types. Data types are literally crucial because they define what type of data that table can house. What type of data can that table hold? What does that mean? If I go somewhere and I have something clearly labeled for something, if I have a sauce bottle labeled ketchup and somebody come around and put mayonnaise in it, that's nasty, first of all, and that's weird. But but you should not do that because I already told you, I already labeled this as ketchup. That's a data type. You cannot put different data types in different columns. Your code is not going to work. So always make it a habit to go through your data, do some data investigation. When ain't if. When you get your first role, your first 30 to 60 days as an analytic professional is going to be familiarizing yourself with the data. What does this look like? What are the relationships? What are the data types? How is this housed? Those type of things. The first 30 to 60 days, really longer than that sometimes, depending on like how robust their system is. So let's get into this. So earlier, a few minutes ago, I mentioned the word syntax. Syntax. Syntax is a block of code. That is it. That is all. I also want you all to start, even me, and I'm going to put this paperclip in it. When I'm writing my code, because I actually write the code with y'all, but I go on mute and like I do it over here. I literally talk through what I'm doing. I say, okay, I'm getting this from this table. I'm getting this from that table. I'm getting this column from this table. I talk through it. And I would urge you all to do the same thing. 2 reasons. You learning something new. You have to get your body, your ears, your mind, all of that used to hearing yourself navigate that. This is new to you. You got to get used to it. So start talking the language. Start saying, calling things what they are. This here is a syntax. It's a block of code. What do y'all think that this syntax does?
You said, what does it do?
Yep.
Hi, Lorita. I
Hey.
forgot I didn't speak to you earlier. Sorry.
Hey, you good?
It creates a table, and you're telling the data. How can I
Say it?
this?
Say
So
it.
you're creating a table, and it looks like it's customer information.
Yep.
So you're going to have a customer ID that's going to be an integer,
Yep.
which is a whole number.
Yep.
And then your var chars, which are variables, so
Yep.
the first name and last name, and those are up to seems like 50 characters.
Yes.
Yeah. Birth date, date, the date type is right there in the PowerPoint, year, month to date, rating floats. Ugh. I've seen float before, but I don't really know how to explain it.
Yeah, it's like a decimal.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. That's exactly what this does. This is a create table syntax. Create table. Now notice the word, some of the words are blue. As you write your code, your words are going to be different colors. Blue, if it changes colors, that essentially means it is a reserved word. When you go to a wedding and these people have reserved seats, that means this seat is for this person. SQL is the same way. SQL and Python, all of them really. When you say certain words, the system has the expectation of, okay, I'm about to do something. They are isolated for a specific role. That's it. That's all. And that's exactly what this syntax does. It creates the table. Create table. This you have to start at the syntax. Create table. This is your table name. Open up your parentheses. This is your column. This is your data type. You listen at them columns and you assign in a data type every single time. Customer ID, this is integer. First name, varchar. And like Shia said, when you get, it's Shia, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. When you get within your varchar, when you get, what this means is it can't be any more than 50. Like that's literally what it means. It's telling you, it's defining that data in that column. It's a varchar and it can't be no more than 50. So that is essentially what this is, a syntax. A syntax is a paragraph of code. And I'm saying that, I'm honing in on it because like as we go through, I refer to things like as they are. And sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. But I just want y'all to like understand what I'm talking about. And when I ask you to share your syntax, this is what I'm talking about, your code.
What's a bar card?
It is like essentially like a letter or number.
Oh.
Yep. It's like essentially like a letter or number, like regular like data. Integer is like a number. Integer, varchar, and date is like literally a date. So if you have something that's like a date, I'm having a brain freeze, y'all. If you have something that is assigned like a date, then literally only a date can go in there because y'all remember the ketchup bottle. This is a ketchup bottle. You don't need to put nothing else in there. That's essentially how it works. Yep. Any other questions? Okay.
So that data that you just showing us that create table. So is that what that means by it defines the kind of data that can be stored in the table?
Mm-hmm.
Or it's defining the data that can be stored in that table column?
Absolutely.
So that's what that box is.
Yeah, I'm literally creating table, create table. This is my table name. Open up my parentheses, list my column, and then define my data type. That's exactly what it is. I'm telling you, this is my column name, and nothing else can go in here but an integer. Don't even put nothing else in there. That's exactly what I'm telling you. Well, that's exactly what you tell the system. Yep. I love these questions. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Any other questions? Okay. Okay. So this is our basic SQL syntax. When I tell you everything, not something, everything. Every period thing, period, builds upon this. Everything. Anything that we learn from here to any one of our other technical sessions literally is layering on top of this. When we learn new stuff, you apply it to what you already know. No different than how you're in your career. You're already in healthcare. You're going to stay within healthcare. I'm going to apply data to healthcare. I'm in marketing. I'm going to apply data to marketing. Literally, the way you navigate your career is the way we learn how to write our queries. Every single thing we do from this moment on, or like 30, 45 minutes ago, I don't know. So this is what you call DML languages, data manipulation language. I've seen it. Sometimes people ask in like technical assessment. This is literally all they're talking about. Select. What select does is it retrieves data from the database. I am selecting this. Select this star is called a wildcard. When somebody puts select star in their database, they're gonna get all the data and all the columns from the table name. Your query will always select your columns from a table. Always. This is, you're pulling data from a table. Whatever columns you want in your output, which is your data set, you list out after your select statement. Like in the last query, we want customer ID first name, last name. We literally say customer ID first name, last name from the customer table. We pulling everything from a table. Insert. Insert into table name. Open up your parentheses. List out the columns that you want to insert that data into, because you don't have to insert data in every column. List out your columns, close them up, then insert your values. Now, this is also where the data types come into play. Because if I try to insert something within a data type that is not fit, like let's say I try to insert let's say I try to insert a name like John in customer ID, it's gonna fail. It's gonna say no, we assigned an integer for that. But this is our insert into syntax. And that insert into syntax literally says exactly what it does. Inserts data into that database. On y'all's coding challenges, you're going to have to create a table. You do it on the website. Create a table. I give you the syntax. You're going to insert data into that table. I give you the syntax for that. But pay attention to what you're doing, because you're literally creating tables, insert data, and then doing your analysis on that data. Inserts, adds new data to a database. Update, table name, set this column. Everything is tables or columns. Set this column to 993. Make this ID equals 993. Where this condition equals John. Where this column equals John. Where the word where is a condition. That allows you to filter out your data. Whenever I say, hey, can I get this from, I only need this. You have to filter. It's no different than how you make coffee or how you do whatever. You got You have your filter. I'm filtering out because I'm explicitly telling you what you need to update. Don't update everything. Only update the data that meets this requirement. That's a condition. This comes into play. I would say tonight, but I ain't gonna be out like that. I don't know. This comes into play from here on out, forever. Forever. That's a condition. Delete. Delete from table name where, they go to condition again, where this column equals John, where this condition is met. Now, y'all see all these different colors in here. We got our blue, which I told y'all that's the reserved word. We got our pink. Pink is function. That means it's going to change something. It's like, it's changing the way something structured in there. These semicolons here, in SQL, when you are referring to the value or the actual data inside of the column, and it is a varchar or a string, you have to explicitly identify that. How do you do that? These single quotes. I'm essentially telling you that go look for this data, but I have to make it a string by putting these single quotes there. That's where the data types also come into play. Select, insert, update, delete. This is your bread and butter. 99.9% of the time is select. However, I teach y'all everything because in the analytics space, when they refer to DML languages, this is what they're talking about. Everything. So I teach y'all everything. So it's like you've seen it before. Like, don't act like you ain't never been here because you've been here. That's what they're talking about. Any questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, say for instance, okay, up here at select, that's what you start off with.
Right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Select and start.
Yep.
If I'm going to insert information, do I need to start that off with select and the star and then put insert into these tables?
Good question. No.
Okay.
And that's a good question. Why? Because these are literally doing totally different things. So they cannot coexist. What does that mean? I can't select data from this table and insert. I can't be getting something from it and putting something in at the same time.
Oh.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I thought that, but I just wanted to make sure.
No, that's a good question because a lot of times when you writing your code, this is how we're gonna do tonight. I'm going to have this up for you. I'm going to give you use cases. You're going to do your data manipulation and then you're going to go test it. Meaning you're going to have to update the table. Then you're going to have to select data from the table. Then you're going to have to go and delete data. Then you're going to have to go and select and make sure that data deleted. So you're going to be applying the changes, but you're also going to go right back and test those changes too. So what a lot of people get confused on is exactly what you asked. They have like their syntax and they might have like they select syntax and they insert and they're like, well, what's going on? And it's like they can't go coexist. So that's actually a good question to ask early on before you even got in your code. It makes perfect sense to ask it. But no, they can't. They cannot coexist. You either doing one or the other. Think about it like I'm literally inserting data, so I can't pull it out while I'm putting it in there.
Right.
Yep. Any other questions?
So select up here, it's just saying that first section right there, it's just saying select this data from these tables.
Absolutely.
That's all they want us to do.
Yep. Whatever your columns, let's say I've been in tables that have 60 columns. Whatever columns you want, you put after your select statement. But that's exactly what you're doing. Anytime you're looking for data, I'm literally select this, this from this table. And if you get into your conditions, where this condition is met, and this, but whatever. But you always are selected from this table all day long. This is your bread and butter. This is it. Your code will get more complex with this, but this is like this the floor. That's exactly what you're doing. You telling I'm selecting this data from this table.
Right.
Yep. Any other questions?
Lorita, real quick,
Mhm.
the colors. You said the blue is for condition, the pink is for function, and what is the red?
That's when, so the blue is a reserved word. So the blue can be, it don't necessarily have to be a condition. Where is a condition.
Okay.
But it can be like, it's just a reserved word, period. Like select is in blue too. And I don't want you to get them confused.
Okay.
Okay, so red, you asked about red. So red is, you have identified this data as a string. What does that mean? That means I'm telling you where this column, because everything goes back to tables and columns, where this column equals this value. This is literally the data in the column.
Okay.
This the column, the water bottle, the column. The water is the data in the column. This is like the data in the column.
Okay. Got it.
Any other questions?
Yes, really quick. Just an observation for the syntax with insert, where it says values, we have the ID number, we have John, and then no. But we need to put what are these? Are these quotations, little parentheses for John and Doe, since they're strings when inserting them, or?
Well, sometimes it depends on the syntax.
Okay.
Sometimes you might not have to. In my experience, yes, you do. Sometimes you do not.
Okay.
Now, what I think is a primary focus is the ability to make sure that you are explicitly aligning. What do I mean by that? I'm saying insert into, this is my table. These are my columns. I'm listing out my columns. And these are my values. When I say explicitly aligning, your values need to match your columns. I'm literally telling you, this the value, this the value, this the value.
Okay.
When I tell you that your code has to be so specific, it's so specific. And the more you get in there and you'll see stuff and you'll be like, oh, I was missing this. Yeah, you were. That's the problem. That's it. That's all.
Right.
But yeah, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It just depends.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Any other questions? Let's go then. So, was everybody able to connect to their VM?
Yes, I got it.
Who said that? Tina.
Yeah.
Yay, Tina, I was worried about you. I was holding my breath. Please, Tina, get in.
I got it.
I need to stop playing so much. Okay.
I'm in.
Okay. All right.
Well,
Who's that, Brittany?
yes, ma'am.
What's the problem? You can't get in?
I'm in. I got in.
Oh, okay. So we good. Everybody good. Okay.
Yes, I'm good.
Okay.
Yes.
So what you're looking at is Microsoft SQL Server Studio. This is Microsoft's relational database. The dialect of Microsoft SQL Server Studio is T-SQL. However, SQL is SQL. Because the dialect that y'all practice on is slightly different. Y'all not going to have like access to the VM to practice, but it's still SQL. So here we have, like I said, Microsoft SQL Server Studio. This is Microsoft's tool. I opted to teach you all on here because 80% of my work is here. This is literally what I be looking at all day long. Even to this day, this is the work we've used. When you think about it, logically, it makes sense. Why does it make sense? Because most corporations just automatically do like Microsoft tools. You got Excel, you got Word, and you got, Microsoft SQL Server. So this is Microsoft. Now, what you're looking at here, this is your server. This is the brain of the system. If the server is down, everybody is like stressed out and stuff. Well, if you're a data engineer, like a database administrator, then like you stressed out. But like a data analyst or something, you might be chilling because like you can't do that. So this is the brain of the system. It is not uncommon for organizations to have multiple environments. When they're talking about them environments, they're talking about different servers. You might have production, which is like live data. You might have dev, which is like, this is where you do all your testing, all your work before it goes to production. You might have QA, which is like a sandbox as well. Sandbox is basically like y'all just over there playing so you won't break anything. So it is not uncommon for systems to have multiple servers. This is a server. Expand this. This is you see all your information here. These are your databases. These black, and you expand your database box here. These black things are actual databases. The way that I teach y'all, I'm not going to do it this session, but the way that I teach y'all throughout our other sessions is, besides this one, I don't really do it here because like this is the introduction, but you're going to like be jumping between different databases. Like you might be in this database, you might be in that database, you might be in this database. Also, you are not crazy. Do not trip. I know y'all over there like, I don't have all that. It's okay. I got other stuff on here because like I was using it for like other stuff. You should have 3 though. Orders DB, Data Analytics Simplified, and Healthcare System. These are your databases. Okay. So I'm going to go actually within my Data Analytics Simplified database. Here you have your tables. Expand your tables. These are your tables. You have 3 tables in this database. Take it a step further and do data investigation. Expand your tables. Look at your columns. These are your columns in your tables. These are your keys. These are your relationships. So let's talk about data relationships. When you navigate through the analytic landscape, not just through SQL, but like all the way around, SQL, Power BI, I think even Excel, Python, everything goes back to relationships, data relationships. How is this data related? That helps you to be able to join tables that you need to join, which we talk about in session 3. That helps you understand data dependencies, meaning is this data dependent on this data to exist? Data relationships and data types, the understanding of those is everything. So when you're doing your data relationships, your data investigation, just take inventory of what your data relationships are. Now, here I expanded this courses table. And it showed me these are my different columns. Course ID, course name, and department. Here we got this primary key, PK. That primary key is a unique identifier for this column. That means that literally that column is unique. This is how I am able to distinguish my different records, this column. Now, look at this here though. This is that data type. We just talked about those data types. that means that that data type in this column is an integer because that is how it is defined. Primary key, unique identifier, int, integer. Not null. Not null means that it can't be null. It can't be blank. So when your tables are created, your tables are defined by data type, relationships, and if they are a required field. This answers all of these. Go down here to your enrollments table, do the same thing. Open it up and look at your columns. In our enrollment table, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 columns. Same type of layout. Primary key. This is a unique identifier for this table. Integer. This is my data type. Not null. Baby, you got to put data in here. It's not going to work. It's required. It can't be null. That's what that means. Now, look at this course ID. This course ID is a foreign key. If something is foreign, it is not from there. Just like in our natural language, we say, oh, it's foreign. I don't say that, but when people say that, it's foreign. It's not from wherever y'all are talking about. Data is the same way. This table is not from this table. This data from another table. That uncovers that data dependency. You're basically saying that this data depends on the other data to exist. Data type, if it's a required field. Then you can go down, do the same thing to your student table, do your data investigation. See your student table, your student ID is your actual primary key. It's an integer and it is a required field. Primary keys are always required. Why? Because it's a unique identifier. It can't be a blank. It can't be blank if I need it to identify that record. It can't be blank. Looking at these 3 tables within this database, what are the relationships that exist between these 3 tables? What are your data relationships?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
What are your data relationships between these 3 tables? The tables in your data analytics simplified database. What are the relationships? How are these tables related?
How they related?
Mm-hmm.
They all require something?
Yep.
They can't leave them empty?
Yep. But when I say data relationships, think about it like this. In our natural language, if 2 people are related, they have a common family person. When your data is related, your data has a commonality as well. So if I say, what are your data relationships? Huh? What you saying something?
I think I got it.
What you think?
The integers.
Which columns though? Which columns exist?
The primary key columns.
From which table? Which table?
First.
Okay, so you talking about this courses table?
I thought we were. I'm over here using my mouse like I can. I thought we were talking about the ones that you currently have open. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
How are
the first line, the course ID,
yes,
and the PK and the integer and not no?
Yes. Good. You on a good start. What other tables is this course ID is this course table related to, and how?
Courses is related to enrollments because they both have course IDs, whereas enrollments and students are related because they both have the student ID column.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. It's related. The courses table, this table is related to my enrollment table And this is the relationship, this course ID, this the common person y'all got in common. This how y'all related. This how y'all kin. They both had this course ID. This students table is related to this enrollment table off the strength of this student ID. It exists in both of these tables. That is data relationships. Whenever you go within your database and you're doing your data investigation, two things you need to look at: data types and data relationships. How are these tables related? Because that helps that organic skill, that from every time you get in here, every time you go within a database, any of these other databases, remember these black things are databases. That should be the first thing you looking at. How are these tables related? Because that helps you join those tables. That helps you understand those data relationships. But that's exactly it. Eugenia, did you get that?
I'm writing it down. Yeah, this is foreign to me.
It's okay. I try to take it and make it like, to me, how I learn stuff is, what is something, how do I navigate like my day-to-day life? What am I doing every day? And what have I done really your whole life that I can take this new information and I can apply it to? And for me, when I'm dealing with data relationships, I'm like, okay, when you think of like family relationships, if two people are related, they have something in common somewhere. Data's the same way. You got something in common. Some column is in common between both of those tables. That's how they related. And that's how my brain like grasps those relationships, because they are everything. Also within technical assessment, when you're doing technical assessments, you're gonna be given, in my experience, a lot of them that I've experienced is you're given like tables and a few rows of data. They might give you like 3 or 4 tables, and then they might ask you a use case. A use case is essentially a business question. They might ask you a use case. You got to look at this data and be like, okay, and talk through what you're doing. You got to look at this data and be like, okay, now I'm doing my data investigation. Okay, now I see that this table is related to this table based on the course ID. I need this column from this table. Like, they literally want you to talk through it. So when you get within that organic like habit to like, okay, let me go and look at this data. Always look at the data. Always look at the data. Any questions before we go into like the next portion?
Is there what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh, it slipped my mind that quick. For like all the abbreviations, is there something that we have that labels everything out?
I think you got a cheat. Was that my computer?
No, that was mine.
Oh, okay. I'm like, hold up. You got a cheat sheet, and if you don't have it, it was supposed to go out like within your packet. If you don't have it, just nudge me and I'll send you one over.
Okay.
Because the goal is not memorization. The goal is application. So you are more than welcome to like go back and like reference stuff. I literally, like for years, and one of my students from last session said the same thing. She's in healthcare. She actually does reporting. And she was saying the same thing. She was like, girl, you just described my office. I literally had like a whiteboard. The only reason I don't have it now because like I just didn't hang it up in this one. But I literally had like a whiteboard with like my syntax on there. Like, because to me, it just helped to have like something in front of me. Any other questions? Okay. So now let's take a look at the data. So we getting into data investigation. That's a huge skill to have. Huge skill to have within data analytics. Because like I said, when you going within your tech assessments, that's how they're going to give you like these data sets, and you go through and you like, okay, this is the relationship. This is how it is. And that's just a big thing. Now let's go and look at the actual data, which also is data investigation as well, because you're still investigating the data. So right click your students table and click select top 1,000 rows. And let me know if y'all don't have the same view as me.
I got it.
Okay. So what this syntax is doing, we are selecting these columns from this table. Now, this top 1,000, it is the automatic thing that SQL does, because there are times to where your database, your data, you might have millions and millions and millions of records within your database. So if you just want a little visibility, you're just trying to see what the data is doing, you can do that with about 1,000 rows. So this is the automatic thing that SQL does. However, for our session, let's remove the top 1,000. Top 1,000 is also called a limit because it literally limits the data. You can say top 1,000, top 10, top 20, top 100, whatever you want to do. So we're going to remove that for this session. Now, here we have our columns. And notice if you hover over your column, you got your data type. Everything pops up here. Data type, if it's required or not. Everything pops up here. Also notice that SQL automatically puts these brackets around your data type. I mean, not your data type, around your column. When you select your top 1,000, these brackets going around those columns. These square brackets is what they're called. These brackets go around those columns because there are times within your system, within your career, whatever, that your column might very much so be a reserved word. For example, you might have a column called like status, or another word that like SQL just automatically is like, oh, I know what you mean, but you really mean a column. So when I put these square brackets around it, it automatically lets the system know, hey, this is a column. I know it's a column because I pulled it from this table. So that's what these square brackets are doing. Then you got from. This first thing, this is your database. This is our database. See how it matched right there? This is our database. DBO is called, that's a schema. What does that mean? Within a database, you can have hundreds of tables within your database. This schema can be named whatever I want it to be named. And the reason that schema is relevant is because, like I said, you can have 100 tables in your database. But let's say I want to group certain tables that were designed to support a specific project. I want to group them together. I can name that schema like the project name or something, and it'll group all them tables together within my database. So this is a schema. And if you hover over it, it's going to pop up just like that. That just essentially keeps your data organized. Students, this is your table. This is your table. Now, when you are writing your code, come down here on line, put a little line on top, a line below. When you're writing your code and when I present use cases to you, best practice is to keep all your stuff the same case. Like if everything capitalized, keep it capitalized, like your select and your from. Also, best practice is to document your code. What are you doing? You do that because in the event that you got to come back in 3 hours, 3 weeks, 3 days, 3 months, you're not going to remember what you were doing. So it's best practice to document what you are doing. How do you document your code? 2 ways. 2 dashes, and this is called commenting your code out. Code document, whatever you wrote. This code was created to do whatever. This is documenting for your code. You can do 2 dashes. And another way you can do it is if you have a full block of code like this, do your backslash star and then star backslash. This is going to come in handy tonight because as you navigate your database, as you like manipulate your data, you're going to have to go and test your data. So what that means is when you insert records into the table, now you're going to have to go back and pull their records from the table. So you're going to be going back and forth, because that's how real life is. If you put a change into something, it's just like if you're doing something in your day-to-day life. If I'm doing something, I need to go back and make sure whatever I did was applied correctly. So you apply the change, and then you're going to go back and test it. Then you're going to apply the change, then you're going to go back and test it. You're literally going to be going back and forth, back and forth. Now, we also...
So what's the star slash for? I mean,
comment.
That's just blocking it off?
Yep, it doesn't exist. When you comment out code, it literally doesn't exist. The system doesn't know. It doesn't exist. Like nothing was even here. It doesn't exist. Any questions?
Yes, and this isn't a question about the code. This is, I have a Mac. I'm sorry.
We're judging you.
I know. So you just right clicked and you selected, because it's not letting me do it since this is Windows app, I think. So it's like, how did you open the table again? Can you show me?
Right click and then select top 1000.
It's not giving me this option. Anytime I try to right click the table, it's just selecting the text to rename the table.
Are you actually clicking on the actual? Can you share your screen?
Yes, I can. Yeah. Oh, where did I go?
I just saw it. Okay.
So, double tapping, right clicking, and for Mac you have to do control, on the right side. It's just giving me the option. I don't know if you've ever seen this before with any of your other students. If anybody has Mac.
I've had people with Mac, but I mean, like, I don't know. Is that, I don't know. Is that how you, I don't know. Is that how you like typically right click things and just select the top 1000? I mean, is that how you typically right click with Mac?
Like to get open like a window or something. Yeah, I would do control right click and it'll usually give me a selection, but I don't know why it's not doing that. It's so weird. I'll probably have to just troubleshoot it tonight because I'm not sure why.
Try it.
Question: Are you using can you use your mouse? I'm not familiar. I have an iPhone, but I don't have a Mac. Yeah. But I always wonder, can you use your mouse?
Yeah, I don't have like a mouse per se. It's just like a trackpad, the little.
Okay.
Yeah, on laptop. So, yeah, it's fine. I'll troubleshoot it tonight. It's just really weird. Then when I do command right click, it just shows me so, it's not fun. But
go back, keep working through it. Well, I don't know. Keep working through it, and if it doesn't work, go back and I'll let you come back in here and do your use cases.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. But typically, I'm not sure. But I don't know anything, but I know typically right click and then select your top on that. But if it starts working on something like that, you can come in here.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, because this is recorded anyway.
You're right. Yeah. Thank you.
But I know you want to do the work too, because
Right. Mhm.
So just yeah, you could come yeah, because I do want to give you the opportunity to be able to like apply what we're doing because it makes it real for you.
Gotcha. Okay, well, I'm gonna just stay and watch, but I'll keep troubleshooting.
Yeah. And send something in the chat if you can do it. Like just say I got it or something like that, and I'll be looking out for it.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? What was I? Oh, comment out code. Okay, so I was talking about the DBO, which is the schema. Okay, so this is essentially when you say the schema, it's essentially like how your data is organized within the database. That is it. That's all. This how's the data organized. This is your table. So comment out. When you comment out, I think Eugenia asked the question. When you comment out your code, it literally doesn't exist anymore. The system, like it's like I don't even know what you're talking about. So when you apply your changes tonight, you apply your changes, and then you go and test your changes. Now, earlier, Tina X could select and insert be used at the same time. And I said, no, they cannot. However, when you're testing your changes, if you are inserting data, you can just comment out your select statement, just like this. And then come down here and write your insert or your update or whatever you're doing. Because technically, this doesn't exist anymore. You can comment them out. Any questions? Oh, that's what I was going to talk about.
But you can't put that if you turn or run it, right? You can't.
But if I comment out the code, then I can run it because it doesn't exist. If you comment out something, it's like it's out of there.
And it'll still allow you to run it?
No, this won't. But if you put some more syntax underneath here, like on line 12, you can run it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying. So if you don't want to put that if you haven't ran it, right?
Right. Now, the next thing that I was going to talk to y'all about is, which we already talked about, is conditions. When we say select all our columns from this table, where is a condition? If I'm looking for a certain set of data, I have to filter out that data, and I have to be explicit in the way that I filter out that data. This is where I say where. Now, I also have to be explicit on which column I'm applying my filter to or my condition to. Everything goes back to tables, and everything goes back to columns. You're retrieving data from a table and you're retrieving columns from a table. Now I have where. If I want only people who are computer science majors, which column in my data answers that question for me?
Major.
Very good. Yep.
Yeah.
Major. Who is that, Tina?
Yeah.
Oh, girl, don't play with you. Where? You put your column that you're applying your filter to. So if I only want computer science major, I would say where major, and you notice how it kind of pops up. Where major. If I only want computer science, I would say equals computer science. It has to explicitly match. If it's something written down here, that means I can't, do it like this or anything like that. Your data has to match your value. So if I say where this column equals this value, execute. This pulls back all the data from that, all the data that meets this condition where the major is computer science. Now, if I want to get rid of it, comment it out, execute my code. And it's like it never even existed. So when you're filtering out your data, where is your condition, your column equals whatever you're looking for.
Can you do that filter out thing again? I'm sorry.
Yep. Just like this. Where? Whatever. What column? What you talking about? What column? What column do I need to apply this condition to? The column equals the value,
Mhm.
and then execute it. And then I only filter out data that meets those conditions. Now, any other condition, which we'll get into next session, that's when we get into like our logical operators. Any other condition where this condition is met and this condition is met, and those are called logical operators. But any condition that you put underneath here is where this column equals this, where this column meets this criteria. And if I want to go back, I want this like it never existed. I'm gonna double dash it and just re-execute, and it's regular again.
Okay, so it just basically resets it. It puts it back to the original format.
Yep. Because what I did was I commented outline 11. Who's that?
What did you click on to run it? I saw
Execute. My bad. It's execute. And some machines is F5, but I don't say that because like people be having like different computers. But sometimes it's F5. But execute right here.
Why did you filter it out? You don't want to, just in case you want to change it or something?
Yep. In case I wanted to show y'all how to apply a filter. Because when you test your data tonight, you're going to have to go back and retrieve that data. And in order for you to like explicitly retrieve that data, you're going to have to say where, student ID equals this, or first name equals this, or whatever. You're going to have to apply a condition to it.
Okay. I know. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's on, but when you were bringing up the database, and you were clicking on the columns and bringing out the columns in the table, why were you explaining like where the keyword, the little keys are?
Right here?
Yeah, what is that?
Okay. So
and then kind of enrollment, and then you go down to student ID. What were you talking about that? Because I was still kind of fumbling with putting mine up, and I didn't quite catch all of that.
Okay. So let's talk about it. That is a primary key. PK is primary key. FK is forward key. A primary key is the unique identifier for that table. That means that this column is unique throughout this whole table. Like I'm in student. So student, the primary key in the student table is student ID. This is my student ID. That means that each of these are going to be unique throughout this entire table. That is the unique identifier. That is how I'm able to explicitly tell each of these records apart by this column. That's the primary key. The foreign key is the primary key for another table. Like the foreign key for this enrollment table is course ID. Course ID is actually a primary key for the course table. But what this says is that this key is not from this table. When something is foreign, it means it's not from there. It doesn't mean it's not there right now. It's just not from there. So what this code, or what this essentially is saying is this column is from another table, but this is the relationship. This is how these tables are related. This column.
Now, how is this going to relate to us writing the code? Do we have to understand that before we?
You will
write out the code.
Yep, not tonight, but you need to make it a habit to start doing it to practice, because once you get to start joining tables, data relationships are literally how you join your tables. And once you get within your field, like the space, and have to do maybe a technical assessment or maybe like a technical interview, there it's not uncommon for someone to ask you about what is a primary key and what is a foreign key, because data relationships, the understanding of those data relationships is crucial to navigate the space. Only because you literally need to know if this is quality data, if this column depends on that table to exist, or those are things you just kind of have to know as you navigate the space.
Okay.
So you don't have to like memorize it, but you need to have it in your arsenal. I will tell you that.
Okay, but I just thought, you know what, I thought when you brought out this code right here where it's talking about the student ID, first name and all that, I
Mhm.
thought that it's related to something over here on the left side with the columns that you had clicked on.
It is though.
I kind of got a little confused at first. I wasn't sure if I needed to understand that before I started trying to write a code or something.
You don't have to understand it before you do what you got to do tonight, but you do need to start being in the practice of like being aware of it.
You understand?
Yep. And being aware of it and being able to identify it and being able to like do your data investigation to figure out like, okay, how is this data related to this table? How is this data related? How are these columns related? So it is something that you do need to get into your muscle memory of like just going to organically look at it.
Okay.
Because not only is it relevant like within SQL, but it's irrelevant like not irrelevant. It's relevant in like Power BI. It's relevant in all of them. Like they literally depend on them data types. I mean, the data types and the data relationships. And like I said, I've seen people in take assessment say, well, what's the primary key? What's the foreign key? Like they have said about primary keys, foreign keys, and adjoins too, which we'll talk about in session 3, that are dependent on those keys.
Yeah.
So you don't have to know it, but you need to start like knowing it. Any other question? Okay. So this is your condition where this column equals this. So so the first use case I need tonight is I actually type it in the chat, and I'm gonna leave this here so you can actually see it. I'm gonna type it in the chat, and I'm gonna say it out loud because recording is not. Okay, so the use case is provide me a list of all the students that have the grade of a B. That's the first use case. Now, what's the first thing that you need to do is your data investigation. When I say that, go and look at your data, expand your tables, and see which tables answers this question. So, So all your, I'm telling y'all the answer. So all y'all tables are go and expand your columns and say, okay, the use case is I need to get a list of students that have the grade of a B. Go and look at your data. Go and look at your tables and figure out which of these tables answers that question.
The one that has the grades on it?
Very good. What table is it? Just say it because you're probably right. Yep.
Under enrollment?
Yep.
Oh, okay. That DDO enrollment?
Yep.
That's what, okay.
Yep. That's the table. So
I gotta learn the tech.
It's okay. We're gonna get you there. So the use case was saying that I need a list of all the students that had a grade of a B. First things first, data investigation. Data investigation is like, that is it. I need to go look because nobody is gonna come and be like, hey, can you retrieve the data from this table where this condition is met? It's gonna be X in a qualifiable way, but you gotta quantify it and write your code to capture it. First things first, data investigation. Which tables answers this question? And you said it, enrollment. That's 100% correct. Right click your enrollment table, select your top 1,000 rows, and you got all your data. Remove your top 1,000 because remember, top 1,000 is the limit. go up here on line 2, do your double dashes, and document what you're doing. I need, or this query, or whatever your document is doing, I need a list of students who have the grade of a B. Now, after you do that, go and write your code to retrieve that data.
Hi, Lorita, question.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I did it, but I'm not sure. So whenever we do pull it, do you want us to just show the grade column or?
Oh, good question. No, I actually want all of them. I want all the columns. Enrollment ID, student ID. Good question. Now, in the event that you do not have the in the event that you do not want a particular column, you can just comment it out and it'll remove it.
Gotcha.
But
Okay,
yep, that's a good question.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep, pull me all the columns.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Remove that limit, remove that top 1,000, add your documentation, and get add your filter down here to only pull back data of the students who have the grade of a B. So we said enrollment table, that's our table all day long, 100% correct. Now, which column are we using to retrieve that data? What column? What column do we need?
Grade.
Yep.
Great.
Yep. So that's what you would use as your condition. So write your code to capture it.
Do we submit our code in the chat or?
You can just share. If you can share if you want to, or we can just talk through it.
Okay, let me know if you want me to do it now or give it one time.
Give everybody about, unless everybody good.
You said enrollment, but when I click on enrollment, I'm not getting it.
You gotta do your right click and do select top 1,000 rows.
Okay, but even under enrollment, I didn't see the grades.
It's a column called grade. Can you share your screen?
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Okay.
I got it. You want me to share my screen?
No, you don't have to. I was just so document your code, put your filter there to capture what a grade equals a B.
Lorita, did you say to take away like the course ID and enrollment date, like take those out?
Keep them.
Keep them. Okay.
Yep. And if anybody want to share their screen or have any questions, then you can share it.
Yeah, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Share your screen.
I'm trying to look at my notes, and it's like, what?
Share your screen. And we can talk through it together.
What are they asking me to share? Oh, entire screen. What screen am I going to share? This one. Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, so move. Okay.
It's my screen. Okay.
So let's talk about what you're doing. So take your line. Let's start from scratch. Go back to your enrollment table again and select your top 1,000 rows. Now let's start from a whole new one. Yeah, just erase it. Just like press that X at the top or something. We're gonna start from like scratch.
X from the top.
Yeah. No, not right there on your tab. On your tab over there, right here on your tab on your code. No, the X. No, the X in the yellow tab.
This X right
Yeah.
here?
Now, and say no. Okay, now let's